Hello, hello, and welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. This podcast is a place where we explore what it really means to live with intention, to lead from the heart, and to walk through life with deeper connection to mind, body, and soul. Whether I'm sitting down with a guest or just sharing what I'm learning in real time, my hope is that you'll hear something here today that invites you back to yourself. So take a breath, let's drop in, and listen to today's conversation. Today I'm with Lior Cohen. So, growing up, Lior struggled with self trust and often felt inadequate, constantly seeking validation and battling social anxiety. His time in the corporate world only intensified these feelings. Everything changed when he discovered meditation and breathwork 7 years ago. Lior delved into the connection between mind, body, and spirit, learning how emotions shape our energy and state of being. As a guided meditation and breathwork facilitator, wellness coach, and Qi Gong instructor, Lior is dedicated to empowering individuals and groups to lead a purposeful life with passion and confidence. Lior, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Brenda. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. And as I said in our earlier conversation, I resonated with many things in your application and here. There are many parallels that we share. And so I'm excited to delve deeper into them. And for those that listen to this, know we just dive deep. There's nothing on the surface here, nothing, no shallow conversation. We just dive right in. So, Lior, would you share with us a moment? And it may not have been the biggest moment in your life, the biggest, messy, and challenging, but what was that pivotal one? One moment that was so pivotal that shifted something deeply within you. Can you take us back to that and tell us what was happening in your life at that time?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I was really uh, from early childhood. I realized today, based on my awareness, that not trusting myself is a big thing for me. I was basically afraid to look under the hood, and
Mm,
I was looking, for everybody around me beside myself, asking questions, always asking for advice, to see what to do in my life.
mm,
And kind of that came backfire me when I, grew up, with this social anxiety, with this low self-confidence. And, I went to the normal standard of life, going to school, university. Uh, Even then, I was kind of didn't know what I want to do, and then went on with life, got married, and started my career in the tech industry. And from then on, I move on to entrepreneurship, into the area of sales, marketing. But again, I want to share with you during those experiences. I mean, for example, I had a business. I enjoyed those experiences, but I think at some point I felt the passion was not there. I didn't feel. Again, what I'm realizing right now that the reason for me for making those decisions were coming from external sources.
mm,
And when you can think, you'll have to do something. You think that this is your life purpose. This is what you came here to do. I mean, I even didn't think about those things at that time. But when you are retrieving your answers from the wrong sources, basically you're going to get the wrong experiences, or the not experiences that are more aligned with you. So kind of give you some introduction to your question and just give you this intro. So in my last kind of venture, I went into a software startup, entrepreneurship, and I was really putting my heart and soul into this business, but it didn't work, didn't play out the way I wanted. And that started to creep into myself, and I started asking questions. So I guess when you try to do something so many times, and I was persistent, I was doing all the thing, getting all the training, all the education, but it still didn't work. So that kind of gave me like a wake up call, that this moment when after 3 4 years in the business, that it doesn't really go the way you planned. this is really kind of strike me. And you know what? This is sign from the universe. This is not your path, Lior. It's
Yeah.
time to, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious, what were those feelings like when you re that wake up call, when you had that moment? What were those feelings that were going on about you realized, okay, this isn't working?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of frustration because I was in a my wife, my spouse, partner, it was creating a lot of financial pressure because I was not
Mm,
generating enough income. It's a startup business. So it was a combination of really frustration and, feeling of failure and really a lot of self-criticism, the inner critic come into play. Okay, where am I going? I'm start asking bigger questions. And in that transition, I mean, parallelly, I think what has really helped me, all this self learning about meditation, breath work, learning about different teachers like the Buddha, and all kind of really reading a lot of book, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. So a lot of those uh, um, really teaching helped me to kind of redirect myself. But I would say there was a lot of frustration, a lot of emotional roller coaster in those times. To really, okay, what I'm going to do right now? Now I have to maybe find another job, or I have to what am I doing with my life right now? What is my purpose? Like, what is my goal? Where am I going in this
mm.
point? So I was really, it was a tough moments, I would say, because you're carrying with you a lot of baggage from past years. Because what I kind of felt that I didn't really find my placement in the world. And you see people that basically whatever they do, it's almost it shows in them, right?
I know
And
some
those
people
people are
like
so
that, yes.
lucky, from young
Yeah.
age, like I know spirit, soul, whatever, really direct this energy to them. Wow. And they got this wow moment that led them to do what they love and just continue doing this. Because what I kind of learned that you know a lot of people say, oh, we need to fix it, fix that. That's the basic is nobody's broken and there's nothing wrong with you. That's the basic understanding. I don't know if you would agree with me on that, but
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And I think that those are words that are used in this culture that well, I think they continue to keep us repressed and they kind of keep us in this cycle of there's something wrong with me. I'm broken. I got to be fixed. I got to be healed. And I want to be careful with that too because I do call myself a holistic healer, but yet I also know the truth that we all have the ability to heal ourselves. It's within us. We are our own greatest healers, and that is the, where I stand, and I think that you do too.
absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, actually, my one of my websites is called Self Healing Activation. So that's where I really know and believe that when if I'm doing healing work with somebody, helping, I'm just holding a space for him, a container for him. I'm sharing my energy. Like I was able to basically maybe move on and raise my vibration on my own
Yep.
energy. So now I have the ability to share this space for this person so he can feel safe to start doing the healing work, doing the inner work. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's really the what I call when somebody is healing, you're not really doing the healing, you're just facilitating the healing process, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When we get injured, the body heals itself. We have blood or wound, the body does itself. The body is so sophisticated, so smart, then it does it in a way that we cannot even understand. Uh, and and I would say to kind of back to what we discussed, I also think that we as talking about you're not broken, something is not nothing is wrong with you. What my deeper understanding is that everything you need, everything you want to do is already inside of you.
Mm.
You just need to uncover all the layers and let yourself emerge like a beautiful tree, like I see the tree in the
Yes.
background. So basically, think about the oak tree that blossom has tall branches and leaves and fruits. it does it every year, year after year, like in cycles. So why, as humans, we cannot be the same? Why we cannot allow ourselves to
Yeah.
emerge
Yeah.
and just, yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious. So you are following this path, and you've said a number of times that everything, all your decisions were made from external sources. What was the flip that switched for you where you started asking yourself different questions?
Yeah, so I would say meditation really was the game changer. But when I learned to starting this process, learning to go within and quiet all the noise, because what we're being projected in the external world is what is a perfect life should look like. And doesn't matter which industry you go, there's also somebody or some leader or some guru or whatever gonna tell you, okay, this is what happened in
Yeah.
here, this is how you do it. But again, it doesn't mean, yeah, it might work for you if it is aligned. But for the most time, what you're trying to do is leave somebody else identity, leave somebody else idea or concept about how life should be, whether it's career, relationship, whatever. But really, when I started meditating and start having all kind of experiences, feeling energy in my body, getting some insight, and I really understood that really that's where you need to focus your energy to get direction. That's where like I would say the turning point.
Yeah. How did you learn to trust the messages that you were getting from your body and during the meditation? How did you learn to trust those?
That's a great question because I always ask myself, when you're getting a message, is it coming from the ego, from the mental mind,
Mm-hmm.
or is it come from your heart? Like it could be very tricky because the ego is a very sophisticated machine that always try to protect us or limit us. Um, but what I found that when you are in this quiet moment, in this really scared sacred place, it's coming a very subtle message.
Mm,
There's no noise. The ego is very loud, is very like aggressive, is very But when you kind of hear this in a very silent moment, that's where you also, if you can feel something in your heart, I think that would be um, a strong indication because connecting to our intuition or to our inner guidance is a very important concept. But the question is, it's easier said than done.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's continuing. I mean, I'm guessing that you lived decades not trusting yourself in the anxiety and all those things, all those emotions that we talked about before. So you have decades of programming and patterns that have already been established. And now you've flipped a switch. In essence, you've done a 180, and now you're on this different path that there's layers that you have to move through.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
There's layers you have to move through in order to, like, that self-trust was, my guess, earned one moment at a time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, even doing this, even going public, I mean, even leading group, it was something unheard from my perspective. Like having that confidence, having the inner knowing that I can do it, that I can actually go out and help people and deliver value, and people can
Yeah.
actually benefit from what I'm doing, what I'm sharing. That was not even in my radar, right? I was
Yeah.
going to different paths. But really, this process every time it was, layer after layer, like, releasing emotional baggage. I mean, if you look at myself, like maybe 10 years ago, I was very easily triggered
Mm.
by people, right? And
Yeah.
I was, emotion of anger, of anxiety, of judgment. I mean, it's still an ongoing process, but I would say compared to what has been before that, I cannot even compare to how I was in those times. And I remember myself, you know, in relationship with people, the way I talk, the way I come across. So that's really kind of changed my whole perspective of the world.
I so relate. I so relate. So let's just talk about the body a little bit. Like how did your body respond? If you think about maybe not how did your body respond, but prior to, were you listening to your body? Were you paying attention to its messages? And then how is it different now?
Oh, great, amazing question. Yeah. So the body, back then, the body is the body. So you would have a disease, you have a pain in your body, you would take medication, you would go, maybe you ate something that doesn't really work, work very well for your body, for the digestion system. But when I kind of learned that the body is basically a very smart and sophisticated machine that's going to tell you when you have a pain, most people do, they numb the pain. Either with medication, either with avoidance, and they try to repress the pain, take a pill, and that's it. And actually, when you have a pain, that's a sign, but hey, listen, there's something here you need to look into.
Yeah.
And those tensions, in different areas of the body, they connected to different emotions. I know when you have issues in the liver, it's connected to a lot of anger people may have. So I started being more paying attention to tension in my body, and when I have those tension, ask questions and be more aware of what's happening with me.
And when you say ask questions, you're asking questions of your body. Like you're having a conversation with your body or through a meditation. That's how you're asking questions.
Yes, like basically really listening from within. What is the issue? What are you trying to tell me right now? What is happening with me? What do I need to do to
Yeah.
process this? What's the lesson here? So a lot of those things are really important when you're trying to let go of things that doesn't serve you anymore. We're trying to really process emotions that really hurting you. I mean, that's definitely the body is so important, and I see difference. I see the difference how I feel today compared to other time when I have different pains or back pain or some headaches or things that would kind of show up out of nowhere. So definitely that was really a game changer when you listen from within.
Yeah. I'm totally following you, but I'm just going to pretend that there's some listeners who may not understand what that means to listen to the body. So I'm going to ask this question for them.
Okay.
When you go within and you learned that this learned something about the tension or the headache or whatever your body was trying to tell you, what did you do with that information?
So when I get a message, so I think what the most important thing is listen and be present with those emotions, right? When you have pain, so basically the way I look at this, maybe you have some feelings, some anxiety or some stress, right? And let's say you ignore it. So the next time the body's going to give you a stronger signal, right? Because you didn't really get it the first time.
Right.
You're trying to, again, if you're trying again to ignore it, go to the pill route or whatever you're trying to do, then it's going to be intensified. So what I've learned that in those moments, those times, really what most people do when they have those pains, physical pain or emotional pain, they repress, suppress it. And that is really a very bad practice because those experiences are going to come back again in the most inconvenient time. They're going to explode in you. You're going to be in a social event or whatever. All of a sudden, you're going to be start going on an emotional roller coaster, and that's not going to be a very fun experience. So really, and again, people avoid by alcohol, taking drugs, workaholic, avoidance, anything just being conscious about our feelings. And I think one of the most important principles when you're trying to work on yourself or heal yourself is really give yourself permission to feel those emotions. I would call it feel it to heal it. Give yourself
Mm,
permission, and it's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel whatever depression, the anxiety, the resentment, whatever is going on in your life. it's okay to feel it. There's nothing bad with it.
I completely agree with you. And my listeners hear me say this all the time. That's what makes our human experience human is the fact that we can feel.
Absolutely. I mean,
There's no other species or spiritual being that can feel. That's what the human experience, one of the
absolutely.
major components of.
Yeah, I would add to that something like very important, I think, for our listeners. So one thing is, from one hand, you want to be able to feel. So you don't want to go the other way, like being extremely, angry or going on a rage journey. This is also not so good, right?
Correct.
Because you're
Correct.
losing yourself in the experience.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
become somebody else. You agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yes.
when you are like totally losing control and shouting at your partner, kids, friends, whatever, it's
But that's where you were, where you said, like, that's the point where we have to start paying attention because this behavior is telling me there is something wrong. There is something wrong. There's something that we need to look at, right? So it's kind of like that extremes.
yeah. So kind of, and on the other side, you want to be like a zombie,
Right.
don't want to feel
Right.
anything, right? Be like
Right.
like a sociopath, right? So it's always about balance. And you know, you talk about soul. So I heard something very interesting that we human are like in this dimension we live in, on planet Earth. In order to be human here, there's a concept of give and take,
Mm.
right? You cannot just give or just take, right? That's that relationship, right? You agree on that? That
Yeah. Well, it's
where in
balance, right?
life,
Yeah.
there's always a give and take, right? In any relationship, whatever, financial, personal, right? So you cannot always be giving, giving, giving. So we are like an electron that is has electricity moving in and out. But when you are reach a point of enlightenment, you are just giving. So you're like a
Mm.
photon. You are just a beam of light that you're just giving.
Mm.
But that means you're not really in the human experience game.
Right. Right.
That's kind of interesting concept I kind of learned lately, and I think I kind of resonate with that.
Yes. I can resonate with that too. And I definitely would say I would love to be able to stay there in that spiritual side of things. I have lots of conversations with many different people, and we're not going to talk about world politics here, but I mean, there. So what I say is, I do have one foot in the matrix because that's where my family is, and then I have
Absolutely.
one foot out of the matrix because that's where I'm going, that's where I want to be, that's where I'm from. But but it's this balance, right? And so kind of hence this mind body soul alignment, mind body soul mastery, like that's part of what I believe that all humans, we have this opportunity to align mind body and soul and work in partnership to to the point where our frequency and our vibration is such that the universe gives us everything we want. We're those lucky ones, right? Like that's
Absolutely.
what we're here to experience, and that's all. It's available to us, it's available for us. We just have to do the inner work in order to align that mind, body, soul.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I mean, that's again going back to what I said about emergence, right? So if you are going to put yourself in the right environment, feed yourself with the right water, right soil, then what you said is going to happen automatically.
Yeah.
And that was my goal, because when I can do that, that means I'm going to be a beacon of light and love to other people,
Yeah.
and they're going to be attracted to me and be able to kind of capitalize on my energy, because I'm just giving them this
Right.
this energy, this space to
Right.
do their own inner work. Because
Right.
just the fact that I have made some progress doesn't make me like a superhero. I just made progress, right? I
Yeah.
kind of took that
Yeah.
initiative and doing the inner work to be able to share my love and light with others,
Yeah.
so they can do the same. Because
Yeah.
and I would say one of the most important thing any person, as I kind of shared with you previously on my email, that knowing the self is probably the most important thing anybody can do. I
Mhm.
mean, if you agree with that or not, but
100% agree. 100% agree. I'm curious, when you started going on this journey to do the inner work, where was your soul guiding you, or was your soul kind of something that you got in touch with at a later time?
yeah, I think initially I was not into, let's say, I go back 7, 8 years ago, I was not really in the awareness, understanding of what is the soul means.
Yeah.
I was just trying to learn, okay, like I kind of started with the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more on the scientific aspect of thing. I got excited about what can you do, how people are really having miracles through meditation. So, but as I progress and got more like doing it by myself, that's where I started feeling energy in my body. Like I
Mm,
was feeling energy in my hand, in my heart. Even at some point, I think I was putting my hands on the heart, and I felt so much heat in my hands
mm,
that it kind of left like a yellow circle, a red circle on my body
mm-hmm.
because the energy was so strong. So I think that was really, I got
I love
really,
that.
uh, I was really happy with that, the experience. And at that time, I would say maybe 2, 3 years ago, I got more involved in understanding what is the soul and really diving deep. So in that time, I was more kind of listening to myself and now being more paying attention to the signs and what is happening to me on a day-to-day basis
Yeah,
and get more guide. It's still an ongoing process.
of
I mean,
course.
I would say in a perfect world, I heard people that, you know, somebody actually came to them and tell them, look, I'm your guide. I'm your like angel or whatever, and actually told him what he needs to do. So that would be my wishful thinking, that I would get clear guidance at that level.
It's possible. It's there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I would like to, because when you get pure guidance, it's gonna take care of you and you're doing the right thing, and anything you required, you need is gonna be available to you.
Yeah.
And
I am gonna say, because I totally agree with you, but I am gonna say, even if you do get clear guidance from guides, I have a very strong relationship with my guides, get very clear guidance. I still have the choice of free will. I still have that. Yep, I get that. I have that guidance. Yep. But man, it's bringing stuff up within me. Like I'm finding myself that even if I have clear guidance, there's still the shit I got to work through in order to. Like this whole podcast, launching this last year was this whole, yes, I knew I was supposed to do it. Yes, I was told I had to, but all the stuff that I had to work through to launch this podcast, to be willing to be seen, to willing to, activate my voice and use my voice and be heard. Like so much the inner work still had to happen. So my point is we can get guidance, we still have free choice, and many times we still have things that we have to work through in order to step into following that guidance with ease. And that is what part of what we're supposed to do on this human experience. That's
absolutely, I
what
mean,
it is.
I'm just curious to know, was a lot of emotional. Well, you said you need to do work through a lot of stuff. Was it more like a logistic, admin, or emotional, or I guess
Well, it was
combination?
both. Like it was both. Like I had to learn all this, all the back end of the podcast, all the tech. That's not my wheelhouse. Like, and overwhelm. And, for me, I get an overwhelm and I freeze, So there was a lot of, I was doing interviews on my podcast like for 9 months before I even launched because of
Wow.
all the back end, right? All that stuff and working through my working through the stuff that I had to work through in order to just launch. So
Wow.
it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but you talked about it earlier, entrepreneurship. Someone who, just goes, and I say this because I'm both. I do have a corporate day job and I am an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship brings up all the stuff in a very different way than that never comes up in a corporate job
For
ever.
sure.
And so there's a lot of bravery and courageousness that happens with entrepreneurs and following that path if that's where you're led and that's where your passion is.
Yeah, it's just I think if you want to be in a space or a place where you want to express yourself, it's going to be very challenging to do it in a corporate setting.
Yeah.
Un-
Yes. Yeah.
Unless maybe you have some kind of a partnership, maybe there's an alignment with some other parties with what you're doing, maybe that could work. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
open for those opportunities as well. But definitely, I agree with you, it's a very challenging journey. And, I
Yeah.
also have a day job. I'm still working through this process. And yeah, but I really think that when you find your true soul purpose, whatever it is for you, it's all about self expression.
Mm,
Whether you're an artist, a singer, a painter, whatever you do, it doesn't matter. I mean,
yeah.
it's all about being your unique expression to the world, bringing your gift to the world.
Yep.
If you can
Completely
find
agree.
it, and
Yep.
that's what I think when you do that, because there's nobody else like Brenda. You have a unique signature, unique energy, and
Yep.
same for me. So when you find that hacking that life code of you,
Hmm.
that's where the magic happens. So that's what I'm striving for. Well, it's going to be an ongoing. Maybe meditation is not really the life. Maybe meditation is just another gateway, another uh,
Yes.
that's going to help me get there.
Yeah.
But I really think everything I've learned so far, not doing this or not taking that, as you said, free will, not taking that conscious choice, you're gonna miss out a lot of things when you're gonna basically go be come to the other side.
Would it be safe to say you don't ever want to go back to being that man before?
Meaning,
With what you've learned and what you've learned about
yeah, I
yourself,
mean,
like
yes, you
you
know
don't
what?
want to go back to being who you were.
Yes, but you know what? There's always, because of the free will and all the temptation out there, you know what? Because of the challenges, you know what? Sometimes the ego come into play. Leor, why you need this headache? Why you need all this
Mm,
nonsense and all this frustration? Go back to a convenient life, right? Pay your bills, just get retirement. But and sometimes have those discussions with myself. It's come, it's mostly
but
come the ego.
would you feel fulfilled?
No,
So then it becomes this choice then too. What's more important to me?
yeah,
Right?
absolutely, absolutely. And I really think I've said before, if you really find when you find that spark, that life code, that you really what you came here to do, when you do it with confidence, with boldness, then that's it.
Yeah.
Everything you need will be provided for you. You're supported by your soul, by your guides, whatever, the universe, whatever you call it, God, infinite intelligence, are supporting you on your journey. And you're gonna have that abundance life. There's no
Yeah.
contradiction,
Yeah.
but you have to go through this processes. There are no shortcuts, unfortunately. um,
Right.
I mean, I believe in quantum reality. We can make some quantum leaps, but I think really the main thing is the inner work. And as you said, when you do the inner work, when you're trying to do this stuff, take it from the spiritual world to the actual 3D world, actually do the action,
Yeah.
so stuff's gonna come up.
Yeah. I can honestly say that there have probably been two different instances in my life where I quantum leaped something. And one of them was after the death of my 20-year-old son, I
Mm.
quantum shifted grief just based on some different things that happened. And so I believe that it is totally possible to quantum shift things. In my experience, I also say I had to do a hell of a lot of work, inner work, in order to be for that quantum shifting grief. And then in the second instance was more recent. That was like in an instant, just one thought changed everything. But I had to do a lot of inner work. I had to do a lot of my own healing, my own soul evolution.
What was the last thing? What was the change? Like the
So that one was a conversation with one of my children. And I was just seeing it play out before me. If my child was going down this path and was going to be making this choice, I just saw all the work that I had to do, all the work that I had to do in order to love this child well, in order to stay in relationship and to love them well, like the judgment, the cruelty of the world, the judgment of all. I just saw all this stuff that I had to do to work through in order to love and support this child with what the path they were going on. And it was within a couple of hours, I just literally heard in my head, like I said, I have a very strong connection with my guides. Love wins. Love
love what?
wins. And it was like, I didn't have to do any of that work. I didn't have to do any of those things. I was just imagining sessions and sessions and sessions of working on this energy of judgment and cruelty and all this and nothing. Nope, I didn't have to. Like it was just that love wins and the
Absolutely.
relationship is priority, right? Like that was huge for me. That was so huge.
Yeah, I can give you an example of my personal life with a relation with my mother. Like now when I look at her, I mean, I don't judge her because I know she grew up in a very tough environment
Yeah.
where love was not available. So her father, her dad passed away from cancer at age 50. And I talked to her and her brother, and for example, simple thing like hugging, kissing was not available to them,
I relate.
right? And
Hmm.
and but I love her. God bless her. She gave me everything I needed. But what is kind of sad to me that I see patterns of, what we talked before, then like high blood pressure. We know it's not freaking blood pressure. It's your own shit you need to work out. Your own like. But she still age. She's gonna be 90 this summer. She still haven't had, and I actually shared with her some stuff, even tried to do meditation with her, but she doesn't have that awareness. She's so caught up in the egoic mind, she
Yes.
cannot move to a different frequency.
Yes.
And I just, as you mentioned before, I see that pattern. So
Mhm.
we just try to support her, love her the way she is. And it's sad to see her that she is gonna isolate herself. Like my dad passed away in the COVID time, like 3 years
Mhm.
ago, 4 years ago, and she's by herself. But even that, now the suffering increases, intensified. So we as a family, we just try to support her as much as we can. Love her, don't judge her, don't try to
Yeah.
fix her, and but kind of what you said before, and just accept it, right? And that's the
Yes.
way it is, and we just have to be with her and whatever life path is, right?
I so relate. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move on towards like this like integration piece. And with what you've learned about yourself in the last, 7 years, it sounds like you've been on this journey of going within for the last 7 years. What have you learned about yourself? Like what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself?
So I would say one is trusting. trusting yourself, trusting the process. So if things don't work out, because if you have this, you know, there's a main difference between belief and faith.
Mm,
So believe, okay, I believe, I can pass this test, right? Even though you haven't passed this test, you can have this feeling of trust that you're gonna, you know, it didn't happen yet, but you have a strong feeling that you're gonna make it, right? But faith is more about state of being,
mm,
like you just let yourself be that person. And I think that's where I'm really targeting to work on my state of being, right?
yeah.
The emotions are there are just indicators, but really when you're in a certain state of being, right here, right now, being that person who is bold, who is strong, who is confident, who knows that everything is going to be, you just let yourself express. It's like, I would say, i'm a, I'm a vessel, okay? I'm basically a spiritual energy being that letting whatever needs to pass through me and share with the world. That's where I want to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, that you're being used in a good way, in a elevated way by your soul to share information with others. Whatever you need to share, whoever you meant to serve,
Yeah.
that to me the ultimate uh, place to be, right? So kind of
Yeah.
that's when I learned that work on myself and keep on working on the stuff that comes up. Keep on
Yeah.
integrating that, integrating your shadows, right? Don't make them your enemy. Make
Yeah.
your shadow your best friend. And when I can get to that level, when and I mean I'm just in a state of being, right here, right now. I'm enjoying this conversation with you, and I know other people are going to benefit from that.
Hmm.
I mean, there's nothing better than that. Like I think that's kind of, this is where I want to be all the time.
Right. And we just think about it like I've just seen it like, living in the past, that's where the shame and the guilt live, and living in the future is that's where the worry and the anxiousness come. Like it really truly is learning into be in the right here, right now. Being right here, right now, in the present and in this moment. Like that is what we should all be striving for.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. I mean that's ultimate happiness. I think, I know what you take on that. There's happiness and there's joy. I mean, happiness is not a feeling.
Yeah.
Happiness, it's a progression, growth
Yeah.
when you are, you know, serving,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's where I would like to be 100% of the time,
Yeah. I
and
love that.
all the way being able to, I guess, make a living out of that.
So, Lior, life is messy. Things are still happening.
Absolutely.
We're humans having a human experience. So, how do you call when life brings you something new and messy or those feelings come up? Like, how do you call on the strength and the insight of trusting yourself in those moments?
So really, again, meditation, going within, listening to myself. If it's really extreme, I do breath work, like extensive, like somatic breath work. So that help. That's like a meditation on steroid.
Yeah. So
So
it's the tools you learn to help heal yourself are still the tools that you return to.
yes, that's where I think I'm in, and I've what really makes me give me more motivation is the responses and experiences that people have while I'm guiding them, like and that's really really motivated me to continue, because I know I'm doing I'm serving humanity,
Yeah.
not from an ego point of view. I'm just here to serve humanity, and if I can help those souls just a little bit to move one step further where they are, and then I know I've served my
Mm,
purpose.
mm,
And one more thing I've learned: the more you do this, you actually increasing your own energy. So the more you serve other people, you're actually increasing your own energy, your own vibration, and getting to this place. So this is really, said to kind of answer your question, going within, meditation, breath work, go to nature, walk in the park, um, maybe try to integrate what's happening, right? Take a step back. Okay, I need to now feel that emotion, integrate it, and kind of move on.
yeah. Yeah. Mm. Lior, this has been such a deep conversation. And I said in
Okay.
the beginning that I felt like we're very similar paths that we are on and we've been on, and I still feel that same exact way. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank you.
you so much for joining me today and um, sharing honestly about your story and the changes that you've moved toward in your life.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope the listener would really get value out of this conversation and help them to change their perspective.
I, I totally believe it. One of my intentions for this podcast is not only hope and inspiration if any listener finds themselves where you started with at the beginning of this podcast, and that frustration and anxiety and not trusting yourself and making decisions from external sources, right? If anyone finds themselves there, like I hope that they receive some hope and inspiration that they don't have to stay there. But it's also the intention of this podcast is to make this a quiet invitation for everyone listening, and even you and I, which we're already doing, is that just to remember your truth and to trust your path and to awaken to the power that's already within you. And Lior, we've done that today.
Absolutely. I would leave you with one last thing. They're saying the truth will set you free. And again, but in order to get to the truth, you need to first have the awareness and the consciousness to start asking the right question, kind of where we started. Know the
Yeah.
self. Knowing who you are is the key to everything. But that's a very big undertaking. It's a very big task because there's tons of layer. Depends where you came from, depends your family, relationship, trauma, whatever you went through. That's a lot of digging in. But I would say it definitely worthwhile the effort and you know, all the trauma, all the emotion, all the challenges that would come up through this process, because the other side there's joy, there's love, there's bliss, and a more expanded life, which is more
Yeah.
magical.
Well said. So, and so thank you. And so, to our listening friends, if this conversation stirred something within you, I invite you to take a moment to pause, reflect, and ask, what in this was for me? Something specific. What in this was for me? And you can find all the links to connect with Lior and myself in the show notes. And so, until next time, keep leaning into your truth and honoring your journey. This is Brenda Stott Tomlinson, and you're listening to Mind, Body, Soul Mastery.